Hello, and thanks for tuning in. As always, this is Reverend JR, and you may notice something a little different here. Today, I decided I'd show you a little bit of how things are set up. The first thing we've got is the green screen behind me. That's there so that I can change the pictures or do whatever I want, drop in stuff, and so on and so on. Now, the bit that I've changed is I'm not using a lav mic anymore. I've actually got my microphone in here on an old laptop that I took the screen off of because it busted. I've got a separate screen sitting right there that I can look at that's really old. That thing's close to 20 years old. This laptop is not quite that old, but it runs Audacity very well. In fact, I'm recording to it as we speak. The microphone plugs into it. It's got a power source. It doesn't have a battery, but it's still got the Wi-Fi hooked up, so I can sit here and do response videos a little differently in the future as well. Just something interesting we can do. And then I have a table sat directly under it, as you can see. It's a folding card table. I have a couple lights down here on either side of me. You can see as I block them out where they are. And I've got one light right there in front of me as well. You might be able to see the shadow from that on my face, depending on how well I dress everything up in editing and all that. My main work computer is out in the other room that I do all the hard editing and that sort of thing on. And if you want, I can show you an editing stream that I do, but there are people out there who do it much better than I do, and are much more interesting to watch while they're doing it. So with that in mind, hopefully we're not going to get too much noise from the table here. I'm going to go ahead and try to bring up a video or an article to respond to, something we might find interesting. So, let's go ahead and take a look at a video from Lizzie Answers on why eat my flesh is literal in John 6.
After all of this, they think Jesus is being literal. Even Protestant scholars admit and accept that trogo, chewing, gnawing, munching of raw vegetables grasped by animals. The rumors about the Christians is that they were cannibalists. And so Jesus repeats and repeats and repeats, crunch and munch and chew and gnaw on my flesh.
So the argument is going to be that ancient people were cannibals, and Jesus told us we should literally eat him. And I guess that this is a good thing because it's in the Bible.
Hey guys, it's Lizzie. Today we're going to talk about the infamous bread of life passage in John 6. Is it figurative or literal?
So yeah, I nailed it right on the head, basically. We're going to talk about whether or not we're supposed to literally eat someone's flesh, like another living human being.
Make sure that you click the subscribe button and also click the bell icon next to the subscribe button so that YouTube will give you notifications. So before we get into the video, happy Advent!
So there you go. Like, comment, and subscribe if you think the Bible promotes cannibalism, I guess.
Back to the video. 5 reasons why I believe that the real presence theology is biblical. Number 1. The Greek word trogon Jesus uses for eat my flesh in John 6 is the most bizarre, literal meaning of eat you could think of.
So basically, Jesus spoke Greek, not Roman, not any other Middle Eastern languages, when he addressed his disciples, who were all Middle Eastern fellows, presumably. Why would he be speaking to them in Greek? Why would they be recording him in Greek? I wonder. Just something to think about. It can't be a translation. It's literally the Word of God, because Jesus spoke it in Greek, I guess, is the argument.
It's used to describe an animal eating. It's used only 6 times in the entire New Testament.
So, because they used a word that is the same word as we use to describe animals eating, that means humans are no different than animals, and it's okay for humans to eat other humans, even though there are very few cannibalistic animals in nature. I guess. Go on, Lizzie. Justify it.
4 of them are repeated together in John 6. I'm gonna read from Protestant lexicons.
So, 4 of the 6 occurrences of this word are all from one specific verse in one specific book. We're probably not going to get cross-references from the other books. But it's definitely literally what Jesus said. Even if this is the only book it appears in. I guess.
One is by Thayer, the other one is by Danker, edited by Bauer.
And now, we're going to appeal to these words that are not in the Bible, that are not from Jesus, to tell us what Jesus meant, even though they're not the literal word of God, but the Bible and what Jesus says in it is. Go on, Lizzie.
Lexicons are kind of like dictionaries, but they're for ancient languages.
Why do we need lexicons?
Do you know the way?
Lizzie, it's the literal word of God. Why aren't you saying we should just learn Greek rather than English? Lizzie.
They'll define a word and tell you every use of that passage in the Bible and in other ancient literature from around the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it will. But it doesn't tell you that Jesus' words don't actually show up in any of those other books. And it doesn't remind you that some of the authors of the Bible probably wrote some of those other works. Or just happened to use the same language that exists in the books they read in the first place.
To gnaw, crunch, and chew raw vegetables and fruit.
So, he used a word that tells us that Jesus was actually a vegetable or a fruit. So humans are actually plant kind. Or at least Jesus is, I guess. Because they used it very specifically. If we look at the other portion of this here, we also see that they talk about it being animal feeding and that sort of thing. So it very much refers to animals eating plants specifically. Now, I don't think the ancients thought that bread was a fruit or a vegetable. But if we're eating on Jesus like he is one of those, then we can't eat from him as though he is the, bread of life. If we're taking it literally. He can't be both vegetables and bread.
And things like nuts, almonds, to bite or chew food, to eat audibly, and it specifically says animals eating, chew, nibble, munch. Trogo is used in Homer's Odyssey, Book 6, line 90. It's used to talk about mules eating food.
So yeah, humans are mules because Jesus literally used a word that other people use to mean mules eating plants. It seems to me it would be much more plausible to say it's a translation issue than it would be to say that literally humans are no different than any other animal that eats plants, and Jesus is the plant we eat literally. Let's continue.
There, they unharnessed the mules from the wagon and herded them beside the eddying river.
Eddying, Lizzie. Eddy. An eddy is a type of current that flows around a thing. Lizzie. The eddying river. This girl is college educated, folks. That's not a joke. She's in theological seminary. She doesn't understand words that describe what water does. And she's trying to tell us how humans eat the flesh of Jesus exactly the same way as animals eat plants. I don't know either.
To graze on honey sweet clover. So the word to graze is trogo in the form trogon. So trogo is like a mule eating, gnawing. You really have to munch and gnaw and chew and chew.
But graze, if that's one of the derivative forms of that word, and that's how they actually intended it, would mean that we should just kind of nibble at Jesus every now and then. Maybe not all the time, maybe not make our entire diet out of Jesus, but just graze on him while he's in season, as the mule grazes on the grasses that are in season. So when we get to the other seasons of the year, we should perhaps graze on the other festivals and gods that exist. Like, after the 12 days of Christmas, let's graze on Festivus, or Saturnalia, or Yule for a little while. When we go to Easter, the days before or after it, let's graze on the, solstice festival, I guess. Why not?
Another use of trogo in the ancient world is in the Epistle of Barnabas.
Right, but Barnabas isn't Jesus.
It's used twice. So in chapter 7, verse 8. So they're talking about goats. Leading the goats into the wilderness, taking the wool, placing it on the bush, eating shoots in a field.
So again, Jesus is a plant, and we are animals who eat that plant. Again, I don't think this is the point Lizzie meant to drive home. But that is the point she drove home. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video, because I can't take much more of Lizzie talking about eating Jesus' shoots. Purge that one from your head. That's going to be all for today, though. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you were enlightened, leave a comment down below. Maybe you too can learn how to do this. I'm recording you on my cell phone, actually, which is kind of neat. The camera's pretty decent and works okay. If you'd like, share this video around. Maybe other people want to know how I make videos. Or just hear me respond to Lizzie. And like she said in the beginning of her video, rather than toward the end, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell button so I can ring it. And as always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.